I never thought slipping into a skirt would change everything. Not just how I saw myself, but how the world saw me, especially my mother. That one moment, when she opened the door and saw me like that, wearing her skirt and lipstick, was supposed to be the end of everything I had carefully hidden. But what she said next wasn't anger. It wasn't shame. It was, let's go out. My name is Liam, 22 years old, recently graduated from university, with a degree in computer science. I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood with my mom, Claire. My father passed away when I was 12, and since then, it's just been the two of us. She works as a nurse, night shifts mostly, so I've grown up pretty independent, used to having the house to myself for long stretches of time. But there's one thing about me that no one, not even my closest friends, not even my girlfriend Ira, knows. Since I was 15, I've had a secret. A part of me that craved to express something different, something softer, something I could never show in the open. It started with curiosity, just slipping into one of my mom's blouses when she wasn't home. The feeling of the fabric on my skin stirred something inside me I didn't have words for back then. It wasn't just about the clothes. It was the way they made me feel. Confident. Calm. Whole. Over the years, that curiosity turned into something deeper. I began buying my own clothes in secret, hiding them in a box beneath loose floorboards in my room. Wigs, skirts, makeup, even a pair of heels I managed to score from an online thrift store. I learned to contour my face, to walk gracefully, to tuck away the version of myself the world expected, and bring out the version that felt right. I called her Lyanna. Lyanna only existed behind locked doors, always when I was sure I was alone. She was everything I wasn't allowed to be in public: elegant, gentle, and free. But she lived in fear. Fear of being caught. Fear of being rejected. Especially by Ira. Ira and I had been dating for over a year. She's sharp, witty, always knows what to say. A psychology major, she loved analyzing people and had a soft spot for misfits and rebels. But I never dared tell her about Lyanna. I didn't want to risk her seeing me as a stranger. I didn't want to risk her love turning into disgust. Every time I thought of telling her, my chest would tighten. So I said nothing. I lied by omission. I kept Lyanna buried. It was a Saturday afternoon, the kind where the sun filters gently through the curtains and the world outside feels too far to reach you. Ira had gone to visit her sister in another city, and Mom was working a long double shift. I had the house to myself. The perfect opportunity. I went to the floorboards, retrieved the hidden box, and began the careful ritual. The soft rustle of the fabric. The scent of the lavender body mist. The delicate pressure of eyeliner gliding along my lid. I wore a pale pink blouse, a navy skirt that hugged my waist, and a pair of black stockings. I brushed the wig long, auburn waves, and secured it. I slipped into the heels, took one last look in the mirror, and Lyanna stared back at me, blinking, smiling. For once, I didn't feel like I was pretending. I moved through the house with a grace that felt earned. I sat by the window with a cup of tea, my fingers light against the porcelain. There was music playing softly in the background, one of Ira's favorite songs. I wondered what she would think if she saw me now. Then I heard the sound. The front door creaked. My chest froze. Mom was home. She wasn't supposed to be back until late evening. My heart pounded as I stumbled out of the chair. I kicked off the heels, tripped on the skirt, nearly falling. I grabbed the floorboard to pull it open and shove everything back in, but it was too late. The doorknob turned. I turned around, trembling. She stood there. Her eyes landed on me, no, not me, on Lyanna. Her mouth parted slightly, but she didn't say anything. Not for a long, excruciating moment. I expected the worst. Yelling. Disgust. A lecture about sin, shame, or disappointment. But all she said was, "That skirt actually suits you." My brain couldn't process the words. She stepped into the room, calm, as if this was an ordinary moment between mother and son. "I came home early," she continued, "and I forgot my ID badge." Her eyes scanned me from head to toe. "Is this something you do often?" I tried to speak. I wanted to explain, to lie, to run, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I nodded slowly, my cheeks burning with shame. She exhaled, long and slow. "Well then," she said, "go fix your lipstick. We're going out." That was the moment everything changed. I didn't move for several seconds. I just stood there, heart thudding against my ribs like it was trying to escape, eyes locked on Mom like she had turned into a stranger. "Go on," she said again, softer this time. "Touch up your lipstick. You smudged it." The surrealness of the moment hit me like a crashing wave. My legs moved before my mind did, stumbling back into my room. I closed the door, still shaking. In the mirror, Lyanna's lips were quivering. My mind screamed that I should take everything off, shove it back under the floorboards, act like none of this had happened. But instead, I picked up the lipstick. My hand trembled as I reapplied the cherry red color. I even dabbed a bit of gloss over it. It was ridiculous. I was standing in front of the mirror, fully dressed as a woman, and my mom was waiting for me in the living room like we were heading out for lunch. When I returned, she was sitting calmly, legs crossed, looking at her phone. She glanced up, smiled. "Better. Now grab your bag. You don't have one, do you?" I shook my head. "We'll fix that." She stood. "Let's go." I couldn't breathe. "Wait," I said. "You're not mad?" She looked at me. Her expression softened. "Liam, I've been finding traces of Lyanna for months. Makeup wipes. A missing blouse. Your sudden interest in laundry. I had a hunch, but I didn't want to push. I thought if it's important to you, you'll show me one day." That nearly broke me. "But I didn't," I whispered. "You did today," she said. "Even if accidentally." I couldn't understand it. I had braced for shame, for a storm, but what I got was warmth. We walked to the car. I was too stunned to speak. The skirt fluttered around my legs. Every step felt like I was floating, part anxiety, part disbelief. I kept checking the windows of neighbors, terrified someone might see. As we drove, Mom didn't say much. I kept my eyes on the mirror, checking my makeup, fidgeting with my wig. Every stoplight felt like it would expose me. Every glance from another driver made me want to disappear. She parked outside a small boutique I'd never been to before. Trendy, but discreet. A soft pink sign above the entrance. Inside, the air smelled of vanilla and soft leather. "We're going shopping," she said. My voice cracked. "Like this?" "Yes, like this." I followed her inside, my heels clicking on the polished floor. The woman behind the counter gave me a kind smile. I kept my eyes low. My hands wouldn't stop fidgeting. Mom picked up a small leather purse. "You'll need this," she said. "Black goes with everything." I took it, unsure of what to say. The leather was soft, the buckle gleaming. She moved on, lifting up a sheer blue blouse. "Try this." We took several outfits to the dressing room. I stepped inside and changed behind the curtain. The blouse slid on smoothly, the silk whispering against my skin. I stared at my reflection. Lyanna looked real. More real than ever. When I stepped out, Mom was waiting. She gave a small nod of approval. "That one's definitely you." And that's when I broke down. Tears welled up in my eyes and I turned back toward the curtain, hiding my face. She stood and pulled me into a hug. "Hey, it's okay." "It's not," I whispered. "I've lied to everyone. I'm scared all the time. I hate hiding." "You're not hiding now," she said. "You're being brave." I hadn't felt brave. Not ever. But maybe now, for the first time, I was. After the boutique, we went to a small cafe. I sat there, sipping tea as Lyanna, my heart racing every time the waitress looked at me. But no one stared. No one screamed. The world didn't end. Back home, I changed into my usual clothes, folded Lyanna's outfit and placed it neatly back into the box. I didn't shove it under the floorboards this time. I left it in my closet. That night, I got a message from Ira. "Hey babe, missing you. Can I come by tomorrow? I'll bring pizza." I stared at the message, my stomach twisting. I replied, "Sure. Looking forward to it." But I wasn't sure at all. The next morning, I was on edge. I kept glancing at the closet, where Lyanna's things now lived openly. The idea of Ira finding out filled me with dread. She loved me, but would she still love me if she met Lyanna? I tried to act normal when she arrived, arms full of takeout. She looked gorgeous, hair tied up in a messy bun, wearing my hoodie like it was hers. "You okay?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "You're fidgety." I lied. "Just tired." She set up the pizza and curled beside me on the couch. "Movie?" I nodded, but I wasn't watching. I couldn't stop thinking about what would happen if she ever found out. Halfway through the movie, she turned to me. "I had this weird dream," she said, teasing. "You were wearing a dress." I tensed. She laughed. "It was so real. Like you were actually rocking heels and everything." I forced a laugh too. "Weird." But inside, my mind was spinning. Later that night, after she left, I stood in front of the mirror again. I applied foundation, carefully this time. Mascara. Eyeliner. The same cherry lipstick. I became Lyanna again. Slowly. With intention. But then came a sound. Not the front door this time. A phone buzzing. Ira's phone. On my bed. She had left it behind. I panicked. She might come back. I started removing the wig, grabbing makeup wipes. Then footsteps outside the house. I froze. A knock. I didn't know what to do. I cracked open the door slightly, just as she knocked again, harder. "Hey." I forgot my phone. She was standing at the door. I hadn't changed. I hadn't cleaned off the makeup. She was going to see. Another knock. "Are you there?" I stood in the hallway, heart pounding. I couldn't hide. Another knock. Then the doorknob turned. She had a key. And the door opened. The door swung open before I could move. Ira stepped in, her eyes scanning the room casually at first, expecting everything to be normal. But her gaze landed on me frozen mid-step in the hallway. Her expression shifted. She blinked once. Twice. I stood there wearing a soft peach sweater that hugged my shape, a pleated skirt that brushed just above the knees, and the same auburn wig I'd worn the day before. My lipstick was still fresh, my eyeliner crisp. Lyanna wasn't hiding anymore. Her mouth opened slightly. "Liam?" I couldn't answer. Time slowed. I saw her eyes move over every detail, my painted nails, the tights, the way I was trying not to cry. My body locked in place. I didn't mean I started, voice shaky, but there were no words that could fix this. Ira stepped further inside, slowly, like approaching an injured animal. Her expression wasn't anger. It wasn't disgust either. It was confusion, hurt, and curiosity. "I forgot my phone," she said, almost as if she needed to remind herself why she was there. And I walked in on something else. My knees buckled slightly. I leaned against the wall. She closed the door quietly behind her, holding the phone like it was suddenly unimportant. "I can explain," I whispered, finally finding the courage to speak. "I'm listening," she said softly, but her voice had a tremble too. I took a breath. "This is something I've done for a long time. Since before we met. I didn't know how to tell you. I was scared." "Scared of me?" she asked. I nodded. She looked me over again, slower this time. "Is this who you are?" "I don't know," I admitted. "Not fully. I just know that when I do this, I feel right. More like myself. Not pretending. Not suffocating." She sat on the couch, her eyes not leaving me. "You're beautiful," she said suddenly. Quietly. That shattered me more than yelling ever could. I walked to her slowly, unsure if I should even sit beside her. She patted the cushion gently. "I have questions," she said. "A lot of them." "I know. But first, I need to know, is this a secret you plan to keep forever?" "I didn't want to keep it at all," I said. "I just didn't want to lose you." She reached out and took my hand. "You almost did." We sat in silence. It wasn't comfortable, but it wasn't angry either. Just heavy with new truth. Then she stood up. "Give me a few minutes," she said. She went into my room, closed the door. I sat frozen, wondering if she was packing her things. If this was her way of saying goodbye gently. If this was the moment I'd always feared. But when the door opened again, she stepped out holding a red scarf. "I want to try something," she said. "If you'll let me." I blinked. "What?" "Let me help. With your look. If you're okay with that." I felt like the floor was falling away beneath me. You're okay with this? I don't know, she said. But I'm trying to understand. And you don't have to hide from me anymore. I nodded slowly, tears threatening again. She knelt in front of me, adjusted the scarf around my neck gently. You're shaking. I thought I'd lose you. You haven't, she said. But it's going to take time. That night, we didn't sleep. We talked. About everything. My fears. My history. How Lyanna was born. How my mom had found out. Ira listened, asked questions, and never once made me feel like a freak. The next few days were quiet. She didn't leave me, but something had changed. There was a distance between us, not rejection, but adjustment. I gave her space. She needed time to process, and I understood. Meanwhile, something unexpected started to shift in me. For the first time, I wasn't hiding. My mom knew. Ira knew. And with each day, Lyanna became less of a secret and more of a part of me. One morning, as I was getting dressed, I found myself staring at the mirror longer than usual. I tried on a new outfit, white jeans, a simple lilac top. I practiced my voice in the mirror, my movements, my posture. Then came the idea, what if I stepped outside? Not just to the store with mom, not hidden behind a mask of fear, but really out. It started small. A walk down the block, then to the park. I got stares, curious looks. Some people did a double take. Others smiled politely. But I didn't disappear. I didn't die from shame. I kept walking. One day, Ira joined me. She didn't say much, just held my hand. And that said everything. But life doesn't stay quiet for long. One evening, as I was brushing my wig out, I got a message. From my boss. Emergency team meeting at 7 p.m. Everyone must join the Zoom call. I panicked. It was 6:45. I was already dressed. My makeup was done. My real clothes were in the laundry. I had two choices. Rush and try to change or join the call like this. Lyanna. It felt insane. Risky. Dangerous. But I was tired of running. So I sat down, adjusted my camera, and clicked join. The screen loaded. One by one, my coworkers appeared, some with messy hair, others still eating. Then my boss. And then silence. He blinked. Liam? I nodded. The room went quiet for a few seconds. Then he cleared his throat. All right. Thanks for joining on short notice, everyone. Let's begin. That was it. No one said a word about how I looked. Afterward, I got a private message from a colleague. Loved your eyeliner. Wish I could pull that off. I stared at it, shocked. Maybe the world wasn't as cruel as I thought. But I was still walking a tightrope. Ira's parents were coming to town. She wanted me to meet them. I asked her, as Liam or Lyanna. She hesitated. Liam, she said. For now. I understood. But something in me cracked again. Later that night, I looked in the mirror and wondered how long I could keep switching. How long I could live as two people. That question haunted me. And it led to the final crack. It was at a family dinner. My aunt, cousin, and mom were there. I had dressed normal jeans, hoodie, no makeup. But then my little cousin pulled something from under the couch. My wig. The auburn one. Everyone froze. My aunt looked confused. My cousin laughed. Is this a costume? Mom's eyes met mine. I stood up, hands trembling. It's mine. The room went silent. My aunt raised an eyebrow. What for? I looked at them all. I couldn't lie anymore. I wear it, I said. Because it makes me feel like me. My cousin blinked. You mean like you're a girl? I didn't have the answer. I'm still figuring that out. My aunt looked stunned. But Mom stood beside me. He's my son. And if this is who he is, we love him. That moment, terrifying as it was, felt freeing. I wasn't hidden anymore. Not from anyone. But the world doesn't let you go that easily. A week later, Ira's brother came over. He saw me in full makeup, not knowing I was there. He laughed. You're serious? Ira snapped. Don't talk to him like that. But the damage was done. I saw the look in his eyes. And I knew more storms were coming. The silence between Ira and her brother lingered like smoke in the room long after he left. She sat beside me on the couch, staring into nothing. I rubbed the edge of my sleeve nervously. Is he going to tell your parents? I don't know, she said quietly.
Probably.
The weight of that answer crushed me more than I expected. Her family had always been conservative, traditional firm believers in black and white definitions of identity. If her brother spoke up, things wouldn't just get awkward, they could get dangerous. Ira reached over and took my hand, her grip tighter than usual. We'll deal with it. Together. I nodded, but a part of me wasn't sure how long together would last. Even love has its limits, especially when faced with public scrutiny. The next day passed in a blur. My phone buzzed nonstop texts from unknown numbers, weird emojis, even one message that just said, "Is this really you?" with a link to a photo. Someone had leaked a picture of me, Lyanna, on the work call. I didn't click the link. I deleted the message and turned off my phone. I felt sick.
Exposed.
Violated. When Mom got home and saw me curled up on the floor of the living room, still in the same clothes, she didn't ask questions. She just sat beside me, wrapped her arm around my shoulders, and pulled me into her. I thought if I came out, I whispered, things would get easier. They usually get messy at first, she said, but eventually they get clearer. I wanted to believe her, but all I saw were walls closing in. Ira didn't text that night, or the next morning. I went to the mirror again, this time not to become Lyanna, but to look at Liam, or whatever was left of him. I felt split, cracked, like both versions of me were fighting for space. Lyanna had confidence, grace, but Liam had safety. That's when I heard a knock at the door. I froze. It was late, almost midnight. I walked slowly to the entrance, each step heavier than the last. I opened the door. It wasn't Ira. It wasn't Mom. It was her parents. Ira's mom stood in a long coat, her arms folded. Her dad, towering beside her, looked stern. Their eyes burned through me, and I realized immediately they knew. And they weren't smiling. Is Ira here? Her mom asked coldly. I shook my head.
No.
She's not. They didn't move.
Didn't speak.
Can I help you with something? I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. Her dad finally spoke. We'd like to talk. Inside. I didn't answer. Because in that moment, frozen in the doorway, heart racing, hands clenched, I realized something. I was no longer scared for myself. I was scared for Ira. Because I didn't know if she was going to stand by me or walk away before the storm got worse. And then, over the parents' shoulders, I saw her, standing at the edge of the street.
Ira.
Eyes locked on mine. She wasn't smiling either. But she wasn't walking away. Not yet. Not completely. She started to step forward, then stopped. And the screen cuts to black.